Guilty on all counts, Jose Ibarra convicted in the murder of nursing student Laken Riley on the UGA campus last February. The judge announcing the verdict after a 4-day trial in an Athens Clark County courtroom.
That verdict came directly from the judge after Ibarra waived his right to a jury trial. Atlanta News 1st Chelsea Beinfor has been inside the courtroom since the trial began. So Chelsea, can you describe what it was like when that verdict was announced?
Lana, there was an audible gasp from multiple family members and friends of Laken Riley's family that were sitting in that courtroom. Of course, then it was followed by a lot of tears as that judge continued to read out guilty, guilty, guilty for all 10 charges against Jose Ibarra. This family has been dealing with a lot for the last 9 months after the loss of their daughter, their sister. Laken Riley was a lot of things to a lot of people. During closing arguments, the prosecutor said the following. I want to quote her to the judge. There is no way out for him. The evidence in this case has been overwhelming. The evidence has been loud and clear that Jose Ibarra is Laken Riley's killer. This all came after we heard 4 days of witness testimony talking about how Ibarra's thumbprint was found on Laken Riley's phone. His DNA was found under her fingernails. And again, the judge ultimately ruling in the state's favor this morning that Jose Ibarra is guilty and was the sole killer of Laken Riley.
Chelsea, as someone who was in the courtroom for the entire trial, what do you think stood out? What part of the prosecution's case do you think the judge found most convincing?
I think overwhelmingly it was the DNA evidence that we heard yesterday, a GBI expert testifying how it was abundantly clear that Jose Ibarra's DNA and Laken Riley's DNA were found on several key pieces of evidence, including a jacket that he was caught on camera shoving into a dumpster. There was blood on that. There was 3 pairs of gloves, or 3 gloves total, that were shoved into a nearby bush by that dumpster that he was also caught on camera putting those gloves in there that had both his DNA and Riley's DNA. We also heard about 29 strands of hair that matched Laken Riley's profile that were wrapped around buttons on that jacket found in the dumpster. I think that was probably the most dramatic testimony that we heard all week.
Yeah, there were a lot of really emotional moments, Chelsea. A lot of evidence, like you just talked about, introduced there in court that the public had never heard before.
Yeah, certainly, including that dumpster video that we played over and over during our coverage this week. It was ring camera video of a neighbor at Jose Ibarra's apartment showing approximately 14 or 15 minutes after Laken Riley's heart stopped beating. Jose Ibarra was on camera shoving that bloody jacket into a dumpster. No one, media, public, had not seen that video yet. They also played a lot of video in court showing Ibarra walking around grad school student housing where he was attempting to break into a UGA grad student's home. This was all happening in a very compact area. That apartment, his apartment, the area where Laken Riley's body was found, all within just about a 1 or 2 mile radius off of South Millage Avenue. If you have been to Athens, if you have students that live in Athens, you know that South Millage Avenue is where all of the Greek housing is. This was close to a lot of young women, which is what the prosecution kept hitting on this week, saying that Jose Ibarra went out on the University of Georgia's campus to hunt for women.
So now the sentencing phase is next. What are we expecting to hear? What is he facing?
The judge did say that he was ready to proceed with sentencing this afternoon. He announced that verdict around 11:30. They are in recess till 12:30, and then they will continue with sentencing. We did report previously this is not a death penalty case, so Ibarra likely facing life in prison with the possibility or without the possibility of parole. So we will know that in about the next 25 minutes. Back to you.